We are currently in the last show of 2016. Richard and I had a bit of a discussion last week about who we thought our political maniac of the year would be. I'm still pretty strongly in the Donald Trump camp.
You know,
try to sell me on someone who's not Donald Trump for political maniac of the year.
I think there's so many good ones.
Trump had so many classics. Like, he just said so much insane stuff.
He did. I mean, I think I think Hillary Clinton could be the maniac of the year.
That's.
I mean, there's a good case. Like, to have the world and $1 billion at your disposal and still lose a presidential election could make you rather maniacal.
I mean, it's an interesting thought. I mean, usually our political maniacs are not Democrats, but I guess we can be equal opportunity offenders.
Or Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She could be the political maniac of the year.
Yeah, she definitely dropped the ball. But, I don't know.
Could be the American people.
Yeah, I think second place, it's either Donald Trump. For me, it's either Donald Trump or the American people. The American people definitely screwed up this one. So anyway, folks, in keeping with my opinion that Donald Trump is this year's political maniac of the year for 2016 and president-elect, I want to talk about a story that we found out about that could be potentially pretty problematic as we go into, life under President Trump. It turns out that Donald Trump is actually maintaining his own private security force.
Hey, listen.
Which is alarming for a lot of security experts.
It is alarming. It reminds me of House of Cards.
Right? Like, Donald Trump feels like he can't even trust the Secret Service. So
no. Remember, anybody who's a House of Cards watcher, after season 1, when he becomes vice president, they give him a Secret Service. He moves Meechin, who's like his main security guard who knows all of his secrets. They basically force Meechin over to the to the
Secret Service.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's the same difference.
No, I mean, so you think that's the same difference. You're saying because Kevin Spacey in House of Cards, who is basically a villain, did it, it's okay for Donald Trump to do it.
No, I mean, I think there's people that, I think that as a principle, and maybe I'm getting too in the weeds here, maybe I'm being too Washington, call me what it is, but I will tell you this. Here at the Fowler Show, we, and people who watch our show, who've known our show, they should know me very well. And I say all the time, like, my currency, I operate in a currency of loyalty, and I like people who are loyal, people who understand me. So if no matter what job I got in the world, like if we woke up tomorrow and Kelly Ripa was retiring and the Richard Fowler Show was taking over the 9 o'clock hour, the 10 o'clock hour of ABC, I would bring my team with me, i.e. Rich Webster. He might not, it might be a battle to make him executive producer, and he might not want to be executive producer, but he'd be involved. Otis would probably he'd probably be staffing somehow, some way. I'm going to bring my team with me because those are people that I trust. They're people I know who can get the job done. Who I know, who understand when I say something, because not all the time that you say something, the people understand what you mean. But I'll listen to Rich, and Rich will be like, I know, well, that's what he's really saying.
Okay.
So
I have a counter argument to that.
I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there's probably some laws being violated and some sort of presidential protection order that was passed Mr. Kennedy that he's somehow violating. I don't know about any of that. I'm just saying, I'm not defending him.
You can see why he would want
I could see why somebody would want to bring their private security.
Okay, so my counter argument to that is Richard actually kind of got into a little bit. The Secret Service is not like the production staff of a television show. The Secret Service is trained and exists in a way that a private security team could not do. And the thing that you run into, once you're president, you don't get to make the decisions about what you do. The Secret Service moves you around.
Yes and no.
If Donald Trump says, I answer to my security team, he sets himself to be open for security risks.
There's a yes and no there. So, for my professional experience of working with the Secret Service on events or whatever, yes, the Secret Service, they have their rules, procedures, laws, and whatever. But they do, to some extent, the principal can bend the will of the Secret Service. They do it all the time. Like when the president's like, you think the Secret Service wants a president to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue to go to Taylor's to get a sandwich? No. Hell no. They would rather go pick up the sandwich and bring it to him. And if you watch any documentary, I think one of the like George Bush's the head of his detail said it best. If we had our way, we would bring the president out every week, every month in a bulletproof cage to show America that he's alive and then bring him back into the White House. That would be the safest place. That's exactly what we would want. But that's not the truth. And I think presidents take risk. And there's video. I mean, there's time. I think when Clinton went to Africa, I think it was Africa tour. Like he almost got pulled into the crowd, and the service didn't want him to work the rope line, and he worked the rope line. So I think it really depends upon the principal on how they choose to work it. I think Donald Trump. One thing I will say for Donald Trump, I will say for anybody who works at the service, you have a respect for what they do, and you understand their job, and their job is very hard, and they're very well trained on how to do it.
Yeah, I do think that while Richard is right, and I think the examples that you cite are true, there are scenarios where the Secret Service, regardless of the president's wishes or not, take over. And that is a function of their job, where it's a situation where President Obama might want to go out and play basketball, but he's got a credible security risk, and they say, you can't go out on the grounds of the White House today. Something like that. There are times where, like they're out at an event and they get a credible threat. President Obama doesn't get to say, oh, it's fine, I'm just going to hang out here. They're like, get in the car right now. We'll pick you up and put you in the car.
True. And I think we haven't seen any public. I will give this president has benefited in his 8 years from not having any like public Secret Service removal moments. I mean, George Bush had his when they threw a shoe at him. Donald Trump has even had his like public removal.
Yeah.
President Obama, for whatever the reason, has not had a public. I mean, he did have the guy who jumped the fence and made it into the North Portico.
Yeah.
But as far as like we know of, where the president's giving a speech and the Secret Service is like,
they're like, time to go, and
we've never. I don't think. At least I can't remember one.
No, I don't remember it either. And here's the thing, and this is the last point. We're coming to break here.
We're almost at a
This is like the same thing that we talked about in the previous segment. We were talking about how no one knows like the actual extent of what the president does. And the actual like risks that the Secret Service has to weigh every single day when they go to protect the president are probably much more complex and much more significant than we could ever imagine, right?
Absolutely.
And my final point is like a private firm that hasn't been doing this for the last,
They have been protecting Donald
decades.
for the past couple of years.
I'm talking about people that have procedures in place to protect the president for the last.
I think everybody. Here's the thing. I think
decades.
every security team adapts to their environment. And I know we're almost on a break, right?
Yeah. No.
I was going to explain my story, but we'll take it up after the break.
All right.